Hello and welcome to this week's video.
Hi.
Starting off this week, I have a funny story to tell everybody.
Is this embarrassing? Because last week's was most embarrassing. Is this embarrassing to you?
Not really.
I hope not, because...
over the weekend, I was hanging out with my friend Seth. We've talked about him a little bit on the show.
Yep.
About some things we've done with him, but I was with him and his friend at school played What Are the Odds with him.
And last week we showed a picture of him.
Yeah. And because he shaved his head. While I was with him this week over, he had a little bit of a break for the holidays, and I said, what are the odds I shave my head too? 1 out of 10. And he said 1, 2, 3, and we both said 4. Well, after we both said 4, I was like, this is a mistake. Why did I say 4?
Take your head off. Frick.
I lost my hair.
You look like a fool.
I do, but it's a pretty funny story.
I suppose. All right. Well, now we got that out of the way. Make sure you keep your hat on so you're not scaring the audience. So something that I wanted to talk about a little bit. By the way, I still have my hair. I'm just wearing a hat.
So what are the odds next for you? 1 out of 10? I say we do it right here on this show.
No, not right now. Okay, so something we want to talk about this week is we want to talk a little bit about literature, about books that we have read and that were inspirational to us, whether they were, fiction or nonfiction, just different books that we really enjoy, some books that we that lasted in our memories, and our thoughts on some of them. Maybe you've read them, or maybe you're a reader yourself, or maybe you're not a reader at all. Any option of that. You can either get into reading, or you can join in the conversation. Tell us some about your guys' favorite books that you've read, or tell us if you agree with the ones that we talk about. See if they were inspirational to you guys. So we just want to delve into that topic a little bit for me and my brother.
Yeah.
First,
can I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I go first? Okay. This is I enjoy a little bit of. I know this is more like teen fiction, and it's more sci-fi, or whatever you want to call it. I guess it's sci-fi. But I read the book, and I watched the movie, and that's what got me into the book. I was really interested in watching it. I really liked the story. I know it's more for like young teens, I guess, teens, but I think the concept is I really like it, is the book Ready Player One. I can't recall off the top of my head who wrote the Ready Player One, but I mean, if you've seen the movie or you haven't with the book, it's essentially in the future, the world has basically been destroyed and there's not much life on it anymore. But this company has created this virtual reality game that you can go into the game basically and create a new life for yourself. So people have basically... they live in this game basically, and then the world is it's not real world to them. The game is real world because they've been in it for so long. And in it, what it's about is the owner of the game dies, or the company, he's the owner of the company who created the game, and he hides keys around the world of the game that they go into, or it's a bunch of different worlds. He hides a couple different keys, and if you find all the keys, then you basically you get ownership of that company and control of the game, basically. Yeah. And I really like that concept.
It's very similar to the movie.
Yes. The reason why I like it is because I feel like the whole concept around going into a world like our reality has basically gone down the tubes and like this world isn't good anymore, to where we have to create a new virtual reality for ourselves, but we can basically become anything we want.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of imagination there. And it's interesting, very interesting
it
premise.
is.
So
that was we're talking about literature like books, and that's what I read the book, but that was a Steven Spielberg movie too, and
yeah,
I'm a fan of Steven Spielberg work. So
yeah, I know you really liked the movie when it came out, but since we're talking about books, we won't get too much into that. So would you say that from a person who's read both nonfiction and fiction, which do you say you like more? Do you like fiction or do you like nonfiction books more?
Well, to me, in this gets into why I enjoy movies so much.
You like to tell a story, or you like to hear a story?
Yes, I like to tell a story. Being fiction, I like to go into that universe and actually like feel the emotions of characters, and maybe it's not real, but you can want to put yourself in that place, and like in a virtual reality world that we can create whatever we want, basically.
Yeah.
I say that's why I got into filmmaking, because I like doing that. And so I would say like fiction is more my style. But there is some nonfiction books that I do enjoy too, which is another book that I'm going to talk about later on, but I'll let you go talk about what you want to talk to first.
Yeah, I'm answering that question sort of for myself. I would sort of agree with you that I've always been more into fiction books than nonfiction. But recently, as I've gotten older, I've seen the value, and even with us, as we've talked about, we're starting a company, we're growing, we're figuring out things to do not only creatively, but also in the business world, and even just, I don't know, entrepreneur-minded stuff. There's a whole bunch of people out there that are really great leaders in that world, and although I really enjoy the idea and I really enjoy the process and the excitement and the creativity of going into someone else's world, it's always going to be valuable to me. It's also something that's very valuable to me to be able to see, I guess, our own reality and be able to learn about that, our own reality, and what is a more healthy lifestyle, or what's a healthy way to think about these kind of problem solvings. That kind of stuff is very interesting to me as of late. And but I don't know. I'm a storyteller also. I love making movies, so I'm kind of, I guess, back and forth, different seasons, I guess.
So what would you say is a book you'd recommend fiction, since we're talking about fiction right now?
Fiction? And then, I want to say, well, I will say the one that I recommend, if you haven't read it, which most people have, is Lord of the Rings.
That's a good book I've read too.
And I will say this, if you have a hard time reading them because they're very large, you can read The Hobbit, which is a bit more similar or smaller and easier to read. Or you can just choose sections of the book to read. So, like, a lot of people struggle when they get into Fellowship of the Ring, when they get to Rivendell, and it's like a really long stretch of the book that just all happens in Rivendell. If you can't get through that, you can just skip that section and move on,
I never had a problem getting past Rivendell. You always... talked about that, getting past Rivendell. But
it was a hard stretch. It was a hard stretch for me. But I know I've talked to other people that's done that. But also, like in the Two Towers and Return of the King, I really am interested in the section of the story that talks about Frodo and Sam and Gollum. And so I actually, before I read the other bits, I read the parts that were just focusing on those three characters and their story and their journey and everything, because I was more interested in their portion of the story than the others at the time. And so that's I would say, if you haven't read it yet, Lord of the Rings is obviously on the top of the charts. There are other fiction books, but
I would agree with that.
I would like to talk some about nonfiction books. It's a little bit of the season I'm in right now, and so I'm interested in talking about that. But first, let's do a quick ad, and we'll come right back. All right?
Okay. we have this show every week on our channel. We do this for you to watch, so we would like you to subscribe to this channel. We're here doing this to try to build a company, and we have other things we love doing, like creating films, but one of that avenue to get followers and have people watch our films is have the show on YouTube. So it gets people interested in our stuff, and also has people come back and watch our content. So subscribe to this channel, or you could go on any of our social medias. We have Facebook, Instagram, like and follow those channels also. Okay, you wanted to talk about some nonfiction books.
Yes. I wanted to talk about what is a nonfiction book that either you've read recently, currently reading, or one. And how about either you have read recently or you are reading, and tell me about what is your favorite and most impactful nonfiction book that you've read.
Oh, that's building up a lot on what I'm about to say, because I've already told you. This is, I don't know if you call it fiction. I guess it was kind of based on a true story, and it kind of is, but it is, I don't know if it's a real story. I am currently reading the book, The Godfather by Mario Puzo.
And people's first reaction is going to be like, okay, that sounds like a fiction story. So why are you saying it's not fiction?
I mean, it is a movie, and that's what, but this book is based off the movie. So it's kind of just following someone who his family is part of the Italian, he's Italian. Yeah. And at first in the book, he comes into the family. He's not in his family's business and all that. But then by the end of the book, he basically becomes the godfather, the one who runs the whole operation. And it is more of like a mafia type thing. So I mean, you probably know it's a very famous movie.
So it's more about a biography of an actual person.
No, I think reading the book, it was kind of loosely based on like a family. I don't know if the main character is an actual person, but it was like a family that he kind of based it off of, telling a story of kind of the mafia and a family that was in the mafia.
Was there like a moral message or something that is in the Godfather books that wasn't said as much in the movie,
I mean, I haven't gotten too far into it. I'm still currently reading it, like I said. So
that's the book that you're reading right now.
Yes, just that's why I said you built me up a little bit for just talking about something that I haven't really got that far into yet, but that's what I'm currently reading.
Okay, so what's a nonfiction book that you've read in your past that was the most impactful to you and how you see things and what you learned from it,
Ooh, nonfiction. I don't really know. I didn't think of this. You kind of
let me say mine.
Yeah, I know you have something on your mind, so let's get into what you have.
All right, so one that I'm reading right now, I'm kind of off and on. I'm a very slow reader. So first of all, people that are watching it, I can't speak for Joshua, but I will say I take a really long time to read a book because I don't read it consistently every day. I'm trying to get into the habit of reading more, but it's always been a bit of a struggle for me to read and read enough to make it a habit in my life. But the book I am reading very slowly it's a small book. It's called Mindset, and it's pretty much talks about how the difference between a growth mindset and and I think it's a stuck mindset or a stagnant mindset, pretty much. And what it's talking about, a fixed mindset. That's the term they use in the book. Fixed and growth.
Is it more of like a self-help book, like a a mindset book?
Yeah, it's a little bit more of like self-help. A little it
Okay.
gives a perspective into the idea of what is what are how we think and what our perspective is on life, and our experiences. So like a fixed mindset is a person who when they either have something that's a trying time or something that's like challenging to get through. A fixed mindset person usually tends to feel more like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm a victim in this
Yeah.
situation or whatever. Where a growth mindset is someone who looks at the same situation and be like, okay, what am I learning from this experience? How do I apply this to my future? And how do I change the way I think and my perspective on the situation to help me grow as a person? That's a very surface level, very rough explanation of it, but that's what I'm currently reading. It was recommended to me by my wife, Mackenzie. She's studying to be a psychologist or get her doctorate, so she's really into that. So that's why I'm reading it. But I would say the book that I've read in the past that was the most impactful to me
Okay.
is Dave Ramsey's The Total Money Makeover. And
Yeah, we're totally having like two opposite ends of books and literature. I'm
Yeah.
talking more of like story wise. You're talking about more self-help books.
yeah.
But
And so so Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover, if you don't know what it is, it's pretty much how to manage your personal family finances. I've read his
yeah,
other book, Entree Leadership, and there's a lot of great stuff in there about running a business and having a mindset and thinking about finances and business in a way from a boss perspective.
yeah,
But I haven't been able to apply as many of those principles yet in my life as I have with the Total Money Makeover. And something that I value very much is being very smart with money, with my personal finances, being very, diligent and making sure that we're saving, that we're not being foolish, we're making good decisions financially. And the things that Dave Ramsey has said in his program, but also in the book, The Total Money Makeover, which pretty much lays it out in a very one book, simple way for people to understand. It taught me so much and gave me so much good perspective about why I should view money in this way, why I view out how I treat money in this way in my life, and also the reasons for why you need a budget, the reasons for why you do everything you can to avoid debt in your life. Those kind of principles that are very valuable and that I've applied directly to my life. I'm a big Dave Ramsey fan, but that book right now in my life I feel has been the most impactful to me. Have you got a chance to think about well, you've read that book before, haven't you?
I have. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
read that book also because you recommended it to me. Actually,
Mhm.
I mean, and this is kind of our relationship between me and you. You started reading it and were like, "This is a good book. You should read it." I got a hold of it, read the whole thing, and then I finished it. And I'm like, well, "What did you think?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm not finished with it. Let me get back to it."
Well, I told you I'm a
And-
slow reader. I told you that.
and I've finished the book, so I it's been a little bit since I've read it, but it was a good book, and it is definitely Dave Ramsey is definitely a good leader, and he's good he has a good way of seeing things and teaching how to be a leader through business, through money, and it also he brings in the aspect of being kind of more spiritual Christian, because that's how he follows.
He himself is a Christian.
Yeah, he follows like biblical principles when he is teaching. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. So I guess that's a little bit of a look into me and Joshua's reading habits and what our thoughts are. Obviously, I've read more books than Lord of the Rings and Dave Ramsey stuff, but so maybe we'll record another version where we talk more about other books that we've read and not just the ones that's meant the most to us. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. We really appreciate it. Again, don't forget to subscribe to us on the YouTube channel. It's the best way for you to see our content that we spend time to create each week. We really appreciate your support, and we look forward to seeing you guys as a part of WiseWorks Entertainment audience. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next week.